Okay.
Hello everyone and welcome back. This is going to be the inaugural Len Almond Award Lecture. We're very happy to be able to honour Len's legacy and be able to demonstrate this throughout future conferences. Today's award is going to be presented by Professor Linda Griffin of the University of Massachusetts Amherst in the USA. Her area of research and scholarly interests over the past 30 years have focused on a game-based approach to teaching and learning sport-related games. Her game-based approach links tactics and skills by emphasising the appropriate timing of skill practice and application within the tactical context of the game. The overall goal is to increase students' tactical awareness, which is the ability to identify tactical problems that arise during a game and to respond appropriately. Linda has numerous publications, including textbooks, edited books, book chapters, and peer-reviewed journal articles, and has been a keynote speaker, made presentations, and facilitated workshops on this topic. Linda has received several awards and honours, including the University of Massachusetts Amherst Exceptional Merit Honour in 2015, the Frostburg State University Wellness Scholar in 2012, the AERA SIG Research on Teaching and Learning in Physical Education Exemplar Paper Award in 2008, and the National Association of Sport and Physical Education Council on Professional Preparation in Physical Education Teacher Education Honour Award in 2005. Presently, Linda is the now moving into the past chair of our TGfU SIG, and over her career, Linda has been involved in a number of grant projects as well as project evaluations. It's a great honour to have Linda to be able to present this award lecture, and I will hand it over to you, Linda.
Thank you, Ellen, and I'm going to share my, I think anyway, we'll try to do this right. Let's see, slideshow. Okay, can you see a slideshow? Is that a yes from somebody?
Yes, go to the display settings again, Linda.
Yeah, you're in presenter
Thank
view.
you. I'm not a big Teams user, so this is good. Presentation. How about that now?
Great.
Now it's
Awesome. Thank you so much. So the title of my lecture is Appreciation Matters, Recognition and Valuing Something Good. In this inaugural Len Almond Lecture, I will highlight the notion of appreciation. Appreciation is the feeling of gratitude for what has been received, whether it is material objects, relationships, or experiences. Based on this definition, I will outline 3 ways in which I believe that appreciation matters to me as I reflect on my game story. And I will also share how appreciation should matter as we look ahead to the next 40 years or more. In this presentation, I will reflect on, first, appreciation matters number 1. Appreciation for colleagues gone but not forgotten. Appreciation matter number 2. Never forget where you came from. And then the final appreciation is I will muse a little bit about appreciation matters number 3, extending the original notion of appreciation in games-based approach. And finally, of course, we get to say our takeaway messages. Appreciation matter number 1. Appreciation for colleagues gone but not forgotten. Well, thank you, Ellen, and the TGfU committee. I am totally humbled and particularly receiving this award and it's being its inaugural Len Almond Lecture. I had the privilege to get to know Len during a sabbatical at Loughborough. Yes, I did go to the mothership in the early 2000s. I was grateful the time to listen and learn and debate ideas related to games, teaching and learning with Len. While I understand that this is the Len Almond Lecture, I cannot help but extend my tribute to Len and to include Joy. So much has happened in the world since Len and Joy has left us. In fact, at this time, we were in person. The last time we were in person was in 2020 at the TGfU SIG seminar in Edinburgh, where we did honor Len. Steve and I had the privilege to write a tribute to Len and Joy in the Lifetime Contributions in Physical Education edited book, celebrating Len and Joy's work. I will highlight 3 things that their collective contribution to the TGfU movement has made. First, they both found their passions and became champions who advocated for the causes. Early in a scholar's career, we are encouraged to pursue an area of interest that gives us passion. Len's passion early in his career was reflected in his work with Rod Thorpe and David Bunker related to teaching games for understanding, which brought to the forefront an alternative games pedagogy. Joy's passion was centered on inclusiveness and fair play in game education through TGfU and inventing games, though her passion also went on to take on the oppressiveness of the game of dodgeball. I guess that would be the ultimate invasion game. Second, Len and Joy championed their passions through grassroots efforts. They also engaged in the scholarly community through research, scholarly publications, and presentations. Both were collegial and collaborative professionals, as evidenced by their many co-authored works, and both engaged in a wide range of professional development around the world. They used their collective actions to affect change in the local, regional, national, and international levels. Finally, Len and Joy left their marks as leaders. They were not afraid to stand up for their beliefs, and neither was willing to just go along to get along. Through their actions, both saw leadership to the profession as highly valued and part of their work. Len and Joy were stewards, true stewards of this community. Appreciation matters, number 2. Never forget where you came from. My first influences on games education came from my dad and his willingness to be the coach of the neighborhood. He designed developmentally appropriate play before it was a thing, and simply shifted our secondary rules so that we could all play. Although at the time, I don't think my father knew what secondary rules were, nor did I, or what developmentally appropriate was. He also supported inclusion. All members of the neighborhood could play if they wanted to. Second was my summer volleyball camp experience. As a high school and college coach, I spent about 14 years at a developmental volleyball camp. The philosophy of the camp was that all drills needed to be game-like. The directors were trying to move away from coach-initiated practice towards player-initiated practice, with more than one volleyball going over the net, sometimes 2 and 3, making the argument that the players play the game, not the coaches, and we had a tendency to hit perfect balls. We were challenged to think about the game and the triad in a different way, the triad being pass, set, hit, serve, serve, receive, dig, set, transition to hit. All of those became parts of a drill, so it was our situational practice in small groups. This moment in time, I bought in and never looked back. Third, 2 things happened when I was at Ohio State. First, I taught a volleyball class for PE majors with Judy Oslin and took on the game-like mantra from camp. We fully embraced the game-like mantra and took it on the road. Everything was game-like. Basketball was game-like, soccer was game-like, it was game-like. The second thing involved Daryl Siedentop. RIP Daryl, thank you so much for all you've done for the profession and for me. In a Pete seminar that Daryl was facilitating, he asked us to write an article for JOPER, the Journal of Physical Education, Recreation, and Dance, which I did. And I thought it was pretty good. So the argument was twofold. First, I was arguing because of my game-like experience. If the teacher has a volleyball unit, then the terminal goal of the unit is to play the game of volleyball. Then the skills and movements need to be taught in context. It was just beyond me that it wasn't happening. Second argument was that students will be more motivated if skills and movements are taught through games. Well, I received feedback from Daryl, which was a complete feedback sandwich. Good idea. Your writing needs work. It was the most polite feedback I've ever been given because basically my writing sucked at the time. And that he also turned me on to this literature. He says, you need to go read this. Thus introduced me into Bunker and Thorpe, Bunker, Thorpe and Almond, and so on. Who does not have an electronic or hard copy of the 1986 publication, Rethinking Games Teaching? Again, these ideas made sense to me. Finally, I graduated. It wasn't finally that I graduated, but finally I graduated from Ohio State, and I had the privilege to work with Steve Mitchell and Judy Oslin at Kent State. I just say, and I keep saying, never underestimate the value of good colleagues. Our biggest thing when we first started was the TGfU model is cool, but how do you do it? So we started meeting, and we wanted to make TGfU doable or wanted doable for teachers. And we didn't feel like the 1986 publication helped us do it. It helped us understand it, but not to figure out how to get teachers to make it doable or wanted doable. So at that time, we shifted to a three-stage model to provide a simplified visual and a more structured approach. The following provides our rationale. One, we recognize that teachers is the architect of the task design. So in my view, no teaching is indirect. You are the architect, so you're already thinking about what you want. Two, game conditions presented problems to solve and created predictable outcomes, which can be planned for and help guide the lessons. Three, enables pre-planning of questions to ask rather than waiting for students to ask questions. And questions are hard. As we all know, questions are hard to ask. 4, student thinking promoted because questions are planned. And 5, facilitates effective use of time. And 6, pre-planning helpful for teachers who are not games specialized. So we went through the summer workshops to help teachers and work with our ideas and make units, lessons, games kid-proof. We also knew that if we were advocating for games taught in context, we had to develop a way of assessing gameplay, thus the Game Performance Assessment Instrument. Our first version of the GPAI was researched, since we were interested in how well the tactical games model worked or didn't. And I'm sure there's a couple of stories that goes with what did work and what didn't work throughout our journey. We wrote the book prospectus to take to AFERD, and we were so excited to try to see if somebody would publish our book. I gave a copy of the prospectus to Daryl Siedentop, and Daryl arranged a meeting with Human Kinetics. And as they say, the rest is his or her story. We have been fortunate to have multiple editions of our work, which has afforded us to grow and learn from all of you with the intent always to develop better games players. I do want to do a special shout out to the other extension of this has been my work here at UMass Amherst in the physical education teacher education program. And I have appreciation for our former Petes that have embraced and ran with these ideas. Deb, Karen, Heidi, Mary, Kanai, Eric, Elisa, Ted, Kevin, and there might be more, but for sure I know those for sure. So thank you. Appreciation matter numbers 3. Oh, one other thing I wanted to say about this, my games journey. At the end of my games journey, I ended up thinking of myself as on a games continuum. And the continuum was a skill-based practice teacher to the games-based teacher to the game-like teacher to the games-based approach teacher. And I traveled along all of those. So I always consider myself a recovering skill-based teacher. Appreciation number 3. Extend the original notion of appreciation in games-based approach. I have mused for years about the notion of appreciation in the original model, which brings me to this appreciation matter number 3. I want to share the need for us to reflect one more time on the original model. As we know, sport-related games provide robust content and context in which students can learn about themselves and each other. In the original model, was designed to be an inclusive model in which there were opportunities for all students, learners to play games with success through modifications. The model depicts a journey of the learner, as we know in the original model. However, physical educators will recognize that sports are dynamic, living, social experience and with lots of learners. In fact, many people play sport for the pure socialization of it. As you know, the original model places the learner in the center of 6 steps: the game or game form, game appreciation, tactical awareness, decision-making, skill execution, and performance. And one of the things I'd say about one of the things I think the tactical games model has done with the GPAI has extended the concept of performance to include involvement. I always love that indice of game involvement because it truly shows how students can surely make the wrong decision, but still be engaged in the game, and that ultimately that's where we want. As you know, a central tenet of the original model is game appreciation. In fact, Stoles and Pill indicated that TGfU's emphasis on appreciating the game may be the model's most significant proposition for student engagement. I agree. We have unappreciated appreciation, which has shortchanged the holistic potential of a games approach. So let's look at appreciation. Through game appreciation, students see the value of the ways in which rules, skills, and tactics influence each other in the game. Rules can entail space, like boundaries, time constraints, rules of scoring, which all give the game shape and influence the tactics being foregrounded. I'm making the case that game appreciation should be expanded to include not only game appreciation, but learner appreciation across the domains of psychomotor, cognitive, and affective. And this leans itself more to the affective domain in a more deliberate and planned way. So here's the simplified model using the tactical games model. That extending, so we're now putting the learner back right in the middle, and game and learner appreciation are the nexus of the model and interface with all 3 stages. Game and learner appreciation are essential to learning to play the good game. Learner appreciation takes into account the social nature, the dynamics, and complexity of games across the different game categories. Not only are there individual students have age, gender identity, race and ethnicity, ability in every case, these individuals become a diverse collection or group. All students in the class become active players and learners regardless of their different experiences and abilities. Therefore, it is important for them to be able to handle interpersonal situations constructively. This slide shows a Venn diagram of appreciation with problem solving very in the center, because that's where the facilitator is going to consider the various pedagogical strategies to help problem solve between game appreciation and the learner themselves. Appreciation expanded with problem solving as the central process of identifying, evaluating, and resolving issues related to game and learner appreciation. In this slide, I outlined the broad dimensions of game and learner appreciation, considering that it is the very essence. Learning is the relationship between and among the teacher and their students, and educational success is built on the strength of those and the dimensions of those relationships. Based on the notion of appreciation, I am arguing that having teachers work with and on social emotional skills lays the groundwork to help students grapple and work through issues related to JEDI, justice, equity, diversity, and inclusions, all the issues and topics related to that. Now, according to Castle, with respect to the collaboration for academic and social and emotional learning, states that social emotional learning is the process through which children and adults understand and manage emotions, set and achieve positive goals, and feel and show empathy for others, establish and maintain positive relationships, and make responsible decisions. The goal of social emotional learning are twofold: promote the healthy development and success of learners in order for them to grow in their fullest potential socially, emotionally, and academically, and eventually professionally. And two, acquire core skills through explicit instructions and through student-centered learning approaches that help engage students in the process and development, analytical, communication, and collaborative skills. SEL covers a broad conceptualization of core cognitive, affective, and behavioral competencies. Now let's switch to JEDI a little bit. Let's look at that as it relates to learner appreciation. Justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion are at the forefront of our lives, daily lives today, which means the forefront of our students' lives. Situating JEDI within this expanded notion of learner appreciation makes them an explicit part of the game's teaching and learning, not part of the hidden curriculum where it's been. As you know, all these topics are highly political with a wide range of beliefs and opinions. Thus, having a way of supporting and setting the stage for this work is critically important for grounding us as educators. My colleagues and I have been working on ways to integrate JEDI within a games-based approach. Presently, because we think you have to view this through a frame, we have two frames that we've been looking at to help learners confront situations related to JEDI where they have opportunities to experience with and discuss with their peers. First, we've been working with Joy Butler's 2016 work entitled Playing Fair, using student-invented games to prevent bullying, teach democracy, and promote social justice. In her book, she weaves together play and inventing games, democracy in action, and the worldview, which introduces a variation on a games-based approach. Joy's work fits the times we live in, and I believe her greatest contribution. To quote Len from the foreword in her book, Len stated, "I am delighted that Joy restored the significance of these experiences playing fair, provided new insights, and made those insights accessible to a wide audience. There is much to be learned in this approach, and its potential for young people's development should be central part of their education." The second framework is Heather Heckman's 5 essential components of social justice, which provides a way of teachers and students to explore JEDI through 5 lenses: content mastery, tools for critical analysis, tools for social change, tools for personal reflection, and multicultural group dynamics. In a chapter in the forthcoming edited book that celebrates the 40th anniversary of Almond, Bunker, and Thorpe's 1980s publications, there is more detail about this chapter that focuses on games-based approach and JEDI. As we know, students need a learning space where they believe and feel a sense of belonging, value, and be celebrated. particularly during this time. Creating a game and learner-centered climate and culture moves games beyond a zero-sum game, thus placing game and learner appreciation at the forefront of the model and creates a more holistic approach. Expanding the notion of appreciation situates these complicated concepts and provides students with a more holistic learning experience. It has the potential to open up dialogue about differences. Teachers will need to provide numerous opportunities for students to explore and learn skills to enable them to build a repertoire of experiences that they can transfer to the real world life skills. All of these appreciation concepts can be transferred to other settings. According to Darlene Hammond, most teachers believe that the development of the whole child is the essential responsibility of schools, and this belief is what motivated them to enter the profession. Thus, we need to support them in this work. In conclusion, I have 3 takeaways. First, education has historically treated the sport and the arts with uncertainty and contempt, even when there is a quality curriculum and sound instructional approaches. And that has written right out of the handbook on social emotional learning. And I've taken that to heart to think, yes, we need to do a better job, and we are in a place to make a difference. Sport and art provide an immense opportunity to provide learners overall development, discovery, and learning. After all, many sports sociologists have stated that sport is a microcosm of society because it reflects the same social structures and hierarchies that exist in the broader world. Therefore, we cannot lose sight of the uniqueness of sport, which provides this separate space for our students to work through, grow, and problem solve these critical issues. Sport-related games provide robust space for situational learning. Situational learning is a way of learning in which learners are actively involved in the learning process through using their environment and their personal experiences to learn and grow. This expanded notion of learner appreciation moves us again to a more holistic view. Second, this speaking opportunity made me reflect on one of my favorite papers published by Charles Corbin in 2002 in JTPE. Physical Activity for Everyone is the title, What Every Physical Educator Should Know About Promoting Lifelong Activity. If you haven't read the paper, you all should, even though it's a 2002, because some of the messages are very good. In this paper, Corbin outlines 6 misconceptions and provides alternative conceptions to each misconception and evidence to support the more accurate conception and about promoting physical activity. All of them are important. However, there are 2 that strike me as one considers as we consider looking through this game-based lens and teaching and learning. Misconception. Children are miniature adults. Alternative conception. Children are children. Let's remember that. Misconception. Competence equals self-esteem. Alternative conception. Perceptions of competence are important as competence. Again, important for us to think about. The spirit of these 2 alternatives, kids are kids, my interpretation, and perceived competence is competence, can help us wrestle with these topics and consider our next move forward as a games-based community. Finally, I want to thank you for this honor. I have much appreciation for what I have learned in this journey from all of you, friends, colleagues, and critics alike. The gift of living in an academic community for 30+ years is that I never stop learning and growing. I hope that we keep appreciating each other as a community as we move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, first of all, I want to acknowledge that we have the Lens family in the room, and we were really glad they were able to attend. And I want to know if they want to say anything.
Hi, it's Charlotte here, Charlotte Almond. Just want to say thank you very much for inviting us today and for all you've done to support my dad's work and to continue it. So thank you very much on behalf of all of us.
Thank you. And
Thank you so much for attending, and thank you, Linda. Well, I also want to say that the things that Len cared about are the importance of being active, no matter how young, old, or compromised a person might be. Just do the best you can. He believed that movement enriched lives in every way, not merely physically, but helped people to flourish. Engagement with people was crucial. Theory, unless translated into informed practice, was sterile. Thus, he listened and discusses ideas with practitioners and used them as sounding boards. Sharing, discussing, reflecting, developing ideas and moving them forward were all key to Len. Well, I think that words have been written by the SIG to honor Len. But in my own experience, Len was really keen to discuss all the time. I was very young scholar. First time I met him in Madrid or in a conference in Spain. But it was amazing. Somebody that you really think it was so high there, was so easy to talk with, and and he really transmits that he was enjoying to discuss and to share it, even with very young scholars. So thank you, Len, and thank you, Linda, for honoring him. So,
thank you, David.
Questions, comments? Yes, Rebecca.
I
You're not
just
driving.
no, I'm back. I just wanted to say thank you, Linda, for what you've brought in. New ways of thinking. I think it's really exciting and really timely. It kind of connects to my whole passion of research. And there's just a couple of things I think we can do through gameplay that I think we can do better than the Castle framework, because when you look at these words, regulation and self, and even the word appreciation, like appreciating, I heard the word ing, like when we go to the verbs and the movements, and when we think about the motion of emotion and bring that into our awareness of what it is when we're playing and connecting to, I just think there's a lot of language there that we can, through the games and activities, rethink. So when we're, going from mechanizing movement, breaking down a skill where we don't see the person, we just see a body. But now we're looking at, small games, now the person matters. And if we're thinking about social emotional awareness, it's that whole sense of, the way we're throwing, there's a quality there. And if we're timid or confident or feeling a certain way, it's seeing it in action. And I really think, like even the word appreciation, it's almost like a pause, stop, and reflect. And when we go from that to the ing and we start to notice these ways we're feeling in action, it's a subtle shift, but I think it's something that we can really contribute and do better than this whole Castle framework. I think there's something really exciting there that we can bring to social emotional learning in and through movement. So I just wanted to say I'm so glad you're starting this conversation, and I think the future is bright moving forward in this direction. I just wanted to say a huge thank you for bringing that, and of course Joy's wonderful work. It's always so inspiring to me with the whole game creation. And the way we can modify and work together and and really become aware of how we're thinking and how we're feeling and how we're moving together. So again, I just wanted to say thank you so much for what you shared today.
Thank you, Rebecca. I always appreciate your insight, and I agree that it's amusing right now, and it's just bothered me for so many years that we haven't really been appreciating the way we are looking at our students. I mean, explicitly, I mean, and I'm not saying all. It's just something that's really come up for me as it looks at the original model. I've always wondered, like, what do they mean appreciation? And I thought about the game as being so limiting that we've left the learner out. So it's good that we're starting this conversation, because it really, it needs, even my musings need some reflection and work, and I appreciate that. I just thought I'd throw it out there for discussion. So that means Rebecca's going to write the paper with me, and anybody else wants to join, that's fine with me. So.
Okay, any other comment?
Aspasia.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Linda, for introducing the concept of appreciation. Speaking from my own experience and combining what David said before, I didn't have the luck to meet Len Almond, but when I came to Edinburgh and I met you in person with Joy Butler, this appreciation was the first feeling that came, and also the fact that you have always been very open, very close, very funny, very authentic. I think from my experience so far with the teaching games for understanding all people involved in game-based approaches is that everybody is real and authentic, even though academically he may be at the top. People are close to the ground, to what is happening, maybe because they have a passion for working with games and young people. So I appreciate the way that everybody is appreciated in our teaching games for understanding organization. Also, I agree very much that we have to introduce the appreciation of the learner, and the social, emotional, and the justice and equity and all these issues are very important at this time, especially during a time that education is blamed for everything, and at the social policy level, nothing is done to equalize all this blaming. So education is doing its best. It's a slower process. We are in this process. We know how slow it becomes and how difficult it is to persuade somebody to stand up and do some physical activity, but we are struggling. So we need the social policy to help us in what we are doing, and we need to persuade people. And by appreciating our strength within education, because this is something that I've been telling my students, we have strength. We are with young learners from very young age till they graduate, so we have strength to change the mindset. I think what is a good idea for advocacy and policy that's easy is to establish small communities of practice or small learning communities. I have seen this all these years being powerful and working very much because teachers, coaches are persuaded within their context. It's a situated way of working with people. It makes them feel appreciated. So this is a very good way of enacting change at the level of educational policy. So I think we are starting to go deeper than the surface level of game teaching, and going in structures that about the democracy or about innovation or creativity is something that will move what you have established all these years and we respect so much forward in the future. So thank you very much for introducing this appreciation.
Thank you. Appreciate you. You know, a note of one thing I was going to say during the discussion around games, a games-based approach, changing the name, and what came up for me is that the tactical games model wasn't our title. It wasn't our title for the Human Kinetics book. Human Kinetics made that title. So, and clearly we've embraced it and ran with it. But because at that time in 1996, if anybody recalls, but then that would be dating me quite a bit, which is fine because I'm dated. So in 1996, there was a monograph that came out from JTPE out of Rink's, Judy Rink's operation, outlining and doing research on tactical decision making versus, you know, a skill-based model. And I just think the timing was that HK said, well, let's call it a tactical games model, because it ripped right off of the JTPE monograph. But it's funny how various names for things, this is why the umbrella name is that we might be moving to is a good thing, because you never know where the actual name came from and why something gets called the way it does and we don't want to lose the essence of where we're going. So thank you for letting me say that. I just was reflecting on that.
Okay, I think was another hand raised. Another comment? Yeah, Nazis.
Yes.
Nazis,
Yes.
I think you are sharing the screen. Is that possible?
Yes. I have my hand open. I said I want only to say I like to be with you, all of you. I was first at the Congress in Loughborough, and after 4 years in Cologne. And I feel member of your company. And the thing that I want to say now is that I am fellow with Mr. Aspasia. So from Greece, we are two universities with 2 members of TGfU. Hello, everyone, and good luck to other works.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Any other comment?
Well, thank you again for listening.
So thank you very much. I think we have now a break until the conference key theme discussion rooms. It will be at 11.
11, yeah.
Yeah.
How
Eastern time.
how does that work? What's the logistics of that, David? Aspasia, do you want to explain how that works, or?
Yes, so we have now, sorry, because I'm trying to find the right hour. We have a break at 10:45 Eastern European time. And then we will enter the conference key theme discussion rooms in order to have a discussion with people interested in commenting on the abstracts that have been submitted. We have 4 discussion rooms, and each discussion room focuses on a different topic. One discussion room has to do with child and youth sport, the other with teamwork, fairness, equality, diversity, and inclusion. We have a discussion room with coach and teacher professional development, and the game curriculum planning, implementation, and assessment discussion room. You can enter with the links that have been sent to you in the discussion room of your preference, and there you can discuss with colleagues about topics that focus on this theme, or also if you are a participant that has submitted an abstract to this conference, you can present your own research. And after this, after the time that has been planned for the discussion rooms, which is between 11 to 12 Eastern European time, from 12 to 12:13 Eastern European time. We can also go from room to room and develop some networking opportunities and get to know people more. Also discuss some future projects or share our own projects or share work that we are doing. Imagine that we were at the conference. We would like very much to be, and we were going from hall to hall, sitting and discussing and networking. I think this is what is very valuable. So we have a break at 10:45. I don't know if we stay until 10:45. No.
No, I think we can take a walk, right?
Okay, so let's
Yeah,
take some physical activity.
Yeah, I
and
think
some
Rebecca
games
has a question.
until
Rebecca?
11 Eastern European time.
Oh, wait.
Yes,
Rebecca,
Rebecca.
did you have a question?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, because I submitted a PowerPoint and a little video, like, is someone going to show these, or is it more of a free flow when we go in these?
Ellen, where's Ellen?
I'm here.
Okay.
Okay.
Ellen's going to explain how this works.
Sorry. You can all choose a room to enter, okay, out of one of the key conference themes. When you're in there, there will be a facilitator who has some questions to sort of get you going. After that, it's sort of a bit of a free-for-all discussion, answering the questions, engaging with each other. It might be that you start talking and want to go, well, I presented on this, here's my research. But it's a bit more for a free-for-all kind of discussion on those conference topics. Is that okay, Rebecca?
Yeah, I just wanted to understand.
Also, we have also a Padlet. Can I post it on this chat here once more? And sorry, on the Padlet we have posted all the abstracts, the titles of the abstracts that have been submitted so far. So you can walk through the abstracts and leave some comments. You can find the lead author's email if you want to share some ideas with the authors, or if you want to initiate a discussion about the abstract that you prefer. And you can also use this Padlet when you are in the conference breakout rooms in order to circulate more ideas and more discussion according to what has been submitted and will be uploaded as a pre-recorded presentation. So we have a break until 11 Eastern European time.
Eastern Standard Time.
Eastern Standard, sorry.
It's okay. I didn't want to like say that in the middle of your talking.
Networking has
It's okay, because I kept going, I must be off if it's Eastern European time. So anyway, thank you, Espacia. We love you. That's good. All right.
Thank you. Bye.
See you folks in a group in a little bit.